Hello, my lovely artists. So we are going to do a contour drawing of a shoe today, and you will need your favorite shoe, an eraser, a pencil, a pen, and a thicker marker like a permanent marker, a Sharpie, something along those lines. So grab your materials, and once you're ready, we're going to start with our pencil. So we've already learned a little bit about contour lines. We know that contour lines show the shape of the object that we're drawing. So take your pencil and just with your eye, trace around your shoe, getting a feel for the shape. Now, still looking, and you can take this time to adjust anything. If you don't want the laces to be down, that's fine. I think I'm going to keep my laces down. So by looking at your object, do a quick sketch. I see that there's like a shape like that for the inside. Go down, around. I see there's a shape for that side, goes there. And really just, without thinking too deeply, mimic the lines you see, and your shoe will start to kind of just appear as you add more lines. So we see this detail here. We can add a line there. And now I'm going to angle my camera here so that you can see more of the drawing, because you know that I'm looking at what I'm drawing. So we keep adding details, looking at all the lines, and it is okay that your shoe looks kind of wonky and kind of messy at this point because it's going to shape up, trust me. So now, as you have the rough idea, the rough shape of your shoe, we're going to add more curves that are going to make our shoe look more realistic. So add all the little details going around the outside. I always start with the outside shape of our shoe first, and then you can move inside to the finer details. So we've got little back panels. We have side panels of our shoe. And look at all of the shapes, the positive and the negative shapes. Let's see. Got a shape like that. Can't forget the giant Nike logo. The logos really help our shoe look more realistic too, because we all can recognize that this logo is Nike. We can all recognize the Adidas logo, things like that. And if you're drawing something that isn't a sneaker, that's fine too, because you could totally draw a flip-flop. You could draw a pair of Crocs. There's so many cool shoe shapes, and there's different types of lines that you'll use with each one. So keep adding details, working from the outside in, mimicking the lines on your shoes. And you'll start to notice that as you keep working on it, it looks more realistic. You're adding more layers with lines. All right, now I'm going to count how many dots for the shoelaces I have. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, I took a lucky guess with the spacing on those lines, but sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. So I'll do my laces of my shoes. With more lines. All right, and then I have a shoelace coming out this end, and it goes around like that. All right, so by now you probably have a pretty good outline of your shoe. You might still be adding more details, and that's okay. Keep adding those details, because the more time you take with your shoe, the better it will look. And it's okay to go over your lines multiple times with your pencil, just like how we sketched a circle for our sun moon drawing. We're going to do the same style of sketching here. If you're finished with your first draft of your pencil sketch, I want you to go back in now with a pen. And I want you to outline the lines that you want to keep. So I'm going to start here because I thought this line looked really good on my drawing. And keep going because these lines you're going to actually keep. And the darker the color, the more forward it is in the space of your drawing. So this is no longer a sketch, no longer the background. These are the final details that we're keeping. This part right here that I'm drawing was stitched, so I'm going to use a dashed line to show that that's just stitching. It's not a different panel of the shoe. More stitching. And there's even a little stitching here. Some of you guys have maybe never looked at your shoes this closely until now. And now you're noticing the shoes you thought maybe were simple are actually kind of complicated. There's a lot of art to them. There's lots of lines. And for my laces, I am leaving some space and making these kind of long shapes with some white in between so that it looks like the thick laces that are white on my shoes. So you'll start to feel some patterns, especially if your shoes have laces. There's patterns in the ways that shoes are laced. And there's different ways that shoes can lace up too. So I'll draw my lace that went over. And can't forget the tongue of my shoe, which also has the Nike logo. So right at the beginning of that, but the E is covered up because the E is inside. And then I have the rough outline in pen of my shoe. Next, I can go back in with a darker color, like my marker, and fill in the spots that I want to come forward and fill in the dark spaces. So let's compare real quick. The drawing to the shoe. And my angle is here. Drawing and the shoe. All right, so first things first, I'm going to fill this in with black because it's the most obvious thing that we're going to keep black. And while I'm doing this, think about what parts of your shoe might be solid colors. If you want to color it with the actual colors, you can do that too. Like if your shoes have pieces of purple, you can use purple or blue or orange or whatever they are. You can use colors. It doesn't have to be black and white. And we're basing our drawings off of Basquiat's gestural drawings, his contour drawings. So it really doesn't have to be perfect. If you want some crazy wacky lines to just get the idea of a shoe, that's perfect because we know that contour lines show depth, they show space and shapes. So that's what we're focusing on. We're not trying to make pictures that look like photographs. If it does happen to look like a photograph, that's okay though. All right. So I've got my black filled in. And notice I left this part white because of the shoelace. And I want the shoelace to be the closest thing to the audience. So I'm actually going to take my marker and outline the shoelace with this darker color because the thicker, darker line pulls the eye forward. Our eye now sees this as being in front of the rest of the shoe. Now, if I look at the inside of the shoe, right here, it's a darker color. These spots are also darker on my shoe. So I can go in and add some shading using a pen or a pencil. I'm going to use a pen, and lightly I'm going to draw some vertical lines to add some value to make it look like this is going behind. This is farther away. If you wanted to use a pencil here, you could do that too so that you can erase it. But if you feel confident and want to just try it out with a pen, I encourage you to do that, because in art class, we're all about taking risks, because art is definitely a safe place where you can take risks. And the worst thing that's going to happen is you'll want to start over, and that's okay. All right, going to add some lines here for more shading. Making sure that I'm holding my pen with really light hands, like surgery hands, I call them, being really careful. And then I'm adding some more lines down at the bottom because the base of the shoes have a texture to them. They are rubber, while the rest of it is a smooth texture, like leather or something. All right. So add those details to your shoes, add some shading. Looks like my pen ran out. There we go. All right. Now you can let it dry for just a little bit, because we're going to erase our pencil marks. And if we just went ahead and erased it right now, some of our ink is going to smear. So we are going to wait for this to dry for just about 30 seconds. And then we can go in with our eraser. Your erasers in your art kits are a little bit smaller and they're a bunch of different shapes. You can also use the eraser on the back of your pencil if you have one, but mine's gone. So when you erase the pencil lines, your drawing's going to look a little bit different. And when you erase your lines, you might notice that you want to add some more details. You might have lost some of your lines. So maybe I wanted to add some more details, like the piece of my shoe that's this piece on the other side. So I'll go in with my pen and just add more lines and add more details. There's some stitching here. And I'm going to use these dotted lines to make all these little stitches that they went over the shoes when they made them with a sewing machine. There's a hole there. There's some breathable holes so your feet don't get too sweaty. And then a little bit on the back. And I'm going to add a little more shading down here just to give it some more values. I want this to be a little bit darker at the bottom so that it can be lighter at the top. And I'm going in with a different direction of line. Then I'm going to make this part the darkest. Keep adding some lines, and we're almost done. If you want to keep adding to your drawing and add more than just a shoe, we can also do a contour drawing of our hand. So this is really fun. You are going to just look at your hand while you do this drawing. Take your pen and find another spot on your piece of paper. I'm going to use this spot here. And look at your hand and try to draw your hand without looking at your drawing. So I see fingers, which I know are round. And there we go. Add the knuckles. Looks pretty weird, but it was good practice for contour drawing. So make a different peace sign shape, and then without looking at your drawing, looking just at your fingers, do your best to draw your other hand. So we have one shoe that we spent a lot of time on and a lot of details. And we have 2 hand contour drawings that we did not spend a lot of time on. The last thing we're going to do to make our Basquiat inspired contour drawings is our symbol. So Basquiat always had a symbol on his paintings, the way he signed his name, and he used a crown like that. So he felt a crown represented him for a lot of different reasons. One of them is he had really cool hair, and people really knew him by his hair, the crown of his head. He is Haitian and Puerto Rican, and so he's paying honor to his ancestors, to royalty. And so I want you to think about a symbol that represents you. I'm going to use a star because I really like stars, the night sky, golden light, all of that. You could use all kinds of different symbols though. If you really relate to a spiral or maybe a heart, you can add some symbols that really speak to you and add that to your piece, because this is all about you. All right, we're going to have some more time to work on our drawings, and I want to see them soon, so I'll stop this video and check in with you all.